Well, good day, everybody. My computer's just doesn't like the fact I just woke it up, didn't have its coffee yet, didn't have its Java. Um, so it's hesitating here a little bit. So we're welcome to the Bible in a Year 2021. We're on day 97, and we're looking at Ruth today. We're just going to have a little gander here at Ruth and pick up some very valuable lessons. First of all, let's just consider the family for a moment. This is a family that was willing to abandon Israel. They just walked away from their own country, for the purpose of surviving. There was no trust in Yahweh. Um, Yahweh had given them um, all these promises, had given the nation promises, but they didn't have a trust in Yahweh. The trust in Yahweh uh, factor was really low in the nation, and so they decided that they would go over to Moab and see what they could do there. And what ended up happening is the disaster that they were trying to avoid in Israel actually found them in Moab, and the family is pretty devastated. So the family is destroyed in Moab, for all intents and purposes. It's destroyed, but yet Yahweh was blessing Israel. So they left Israel and they left the blessing. They ran into disaster. If they had stayed where they were, they would have been blessed. Interesting, isn't it? How many of us, don't think that we're receiving the blessing where we are, and so we try to find better ground ourselves instead of standing on the promises that have been given to us. So Naomi ends up returning to Israel because she hears that Israel's being blessed, and she returns with her Moabite daughter-in-law Ruth. And just stop and think for a moment, okay? They Israel's not supposed to have anything to do with the other nations. They're not supposed to intermarry with other nations. And this family is disobedient, and they go, and the sons end up with Moabite wives. They end up dying, and here's this book, a book in the Bible, in Jewish scriptures, named Ruth, who is a Moabite woman. That's just, it's amazing. So why is Ruth special? Why do we have this story here? Well, she actually demonstrates that the faithfulness in covenant, because this is the big thing, being loyal to Yahweh, being faithful in covenant, and she demonstrates this, and she demonstrates it with no apparent advantage for herself. She could have been like her fellow um, so, um, daughter-in-law, and she could have stayed in Moab and found another husband and had a family, because like she doesn't have any children. There's no advantage, and it's like Naomi said, like, I have no other sons to give you. Like, there's no advantage, but she stayed, um, because she had a sense of duty towards her mother-in-law. She had a sense of duty towards Naomi in this relationship of covenant, and she pledged herself to Naomi. So she created this covenant with Naomi. She pledged herself to Naomi, and this is why Ruth stands out so much. So in chapter 2, um, we find that it's because of this. It's like Ruth is a Moabite woman. Okay, she's a foreigner, and yet she's highly thought of, and it's because she has really stood out from the crowd, due to her faithfulness and covenant with Naomi. It's really makes her stand out above everybody else, and everybody's talking about her. Everything she does well. She's a woman of great character. Now, in this whole tale, we need to understand that Boaz really is representing, like, if you consider that Ruth is representing the people, the 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 people's part of the covenant that they have with Yahweh, and Boaz really is the redeemer. He's representing Yahweh's part of this covenant. And if you could keep that in mind as you go through the story, it becomes more powerful and something that's really like, wow. Um, so Ruth's faithfulness and covenant relationship is going to open a door here to her redemption, to Naomi's redemption, for their situation being redeemed. Okay, where they really gain a life back because they're in a situation where she's just trying to get by. They're just trying to live. They're in a really bad place in every possible way, and Ruth is committed to helping Naomi survive. But because of her faithfulness, because of the way she's standing out from everybody, she is opening the door here for an opportunity that's going to come. And Boaz looks at this. He's looking at Ruth, and he's moved by her. He is moved. He's just moved by compassion, compassion and generosity. He can't do enough for Ruth because he's just so impressed with her. And and this is what I'm talking about. It just opens this door of opportunity for Ruth because she does what or is doing what ideally what should be done, ideally. So then we go into chapter 3, and and again, like it can't be stressed enough that she's doing all things well, and she's a Moabite woman. She is doing all things well according to what Yahweh has set up, according to this idea of covenant, according to the way that you're supposed to honor. It just in every possible way, she is in service to her mother-in-law. She's honoring her mother-in-law, and she's just making this name for herself. So, for the sake of Naomi, um, Ruth lets it be known to Boaz that she's open to marriage. He's one of the kinsman redeemer. Okay, he's one who can turn around and marry Ruth uh, and provide a son that would carry on Ruth's son's name. That's the whole thing. So like he's one of them that can take up this. So like Ruth lets it be known through the saying the whole tale might sound silly to you, but it's just her way of saying that she's available to Boaz. She's open to marriage if he's interested in that. And so then we find Boaz he's interested, and just because of the quality, like he wants to have a wife of this kind of quality, but at the same time, like, isn't it breaking? Isn't it like Yahweh said not to do this? He said, "Don't take a foreign wife." And we could look at this that Ruth really is no longer foreign because she's taken on um, she's stepped into the role of a Jew. She's stepped in. We're not made aware that she has entered into Yahweh worship, but we can assume that just by everything that she's doing here. Uh, so you know, but Ruth has made it in such a way that Yahweh would even approve of this. So he's going to take action to secure her hand in marriage, um, and take on Naomi at the same time. And he's going to do this. So there's one barrier that's left that would not allow him to do that, and he's going to take care of this. And so we look at this kind of like Jesus removing the barrier of sin, where Father wants us to enter into this relationship, but sin was in the way, and sin had to be removed. So Jesus came to remove that barrier, so we can enter into that relationship. It's pretty powerful when you recognize it that way. And then we have the fourth chapter, the last chapter, and we see here Ruth and Naomi are redeemed, and Boaz does everything right. He does everything that a kind, compassionate kinsman redeemer can do. And Yahweh is pleased by all of this. He's pleased by Ruth. He's pleased by Boaz. And what a shining example that they are of righteousness, of what it is to walk according to his instructions. And it's all in play. And when you consider how messed up everything is at this time, how messed up Israel is at this time, it's just amazing that these two would shine in this way. So it's overlooked that Ruth is a Moabite, and the Lord blesses them with a child. Now, I want you to stop and consider. Ruth becomes the great grandmother of King David, a Moabite woman. A Moabite woman becomes the great grandmother of King David and is included as an ancestor of Jesus. That's pretty amazing. Now, I also want you to stop and consider that there's a Canaanite prostitute that is also an ancestor of Jesus. So this is like when we look at this, you might think that Yahweh would want to pick a pure strain of as an Israeli, right? A pure strain for his son to enter into that stream. But no, there's something that's definitely being said here when he includes, a Canaanite prostitute and a Moabite woman in the ancestry of Jesus. Just stop and consider that. Sometimes we get into a place where we look down our nose on people, and we can't afford to do that because none of us were considered righteous before. None of us are in the place that we're in because we're good and righteous. We are all tarnished in the same fall, in the same rebellious heart, and all of us have all of us have been sinners. So we are redeemed. We are redeemed by the effort of Jesus Christ, by the work of Jesus Christ, and we just have to be willing. We just have to be willing to be redeemed in order to be redeemed. Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff, isn't it? I just love it. I just love it. Okay, so that's all we're doing today, and you guys have a blessed and wonderful day. Thank the Lord that you have been redeemed. I thank the Lord for this wonderful relationship we have, and I will see you guys tomorrow. God bless.